Internet, I'm Hugo.
And I am Jake.
And this is Unpopular Culture, and we're here to look at yet another Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice trailer. And this is actually the final trailer before the movie comes out next month.
You sound like a weatherman.
I'm very official. This is my I'm talking about Batman voice. I have to take it very seriously.
And I think this is a good thing. They definitely need another trailer after the Doomsday reveal last time, which was kind of weak. Yeah. So I'm glad that we got one more, and this kind of restored some of the faith. I don't know.
In my opinion, I didn't think this was as good as the first trailer, but it was better than the second trailer we got, because that was all kinds of all over the place.
This is well put together, and it kind of makes me think they're going in a different direction than I thought they would initially. But we'll talk about that when we start. Right meow. I like this shot of the new Batwing. It kind of looks cool. It's not an overtly bat-like thing, which I enjoy. I hate that they sometimes force bat, iconography into the gadgets he has.
Yeah, it's got an interesting silhouette. I like it a lot better than the one that they put into the Dark Knight Rises, the last Christopher Nolan one.
That one was supposed to be like Sky Tumbler, so I get it. But this one definitely seems more functional. Although wings, I don't think wings work like that.
No,
it's whatever.
I like that they're not going full like 1980s or 1960s Batman with it, but they're definitely sticking to bat iconography, and I'm glad we're going back to that after the hyper-realism military tech of the Nolan films.
Yeah, it's got a nice balance between 1960s, it's a joke, and it's functional but also cool, like a comic book, which is good.
Master Wayne. Thermal imaging is showing me 24 hostiles on the 3rd floor.
This reminds me a lot of Dark Knight.
It does, but I like that it reminds me a little bit of Iron Man, sort of how he has the holographic displays too, where it's like sci-fi, but it's almost near future sci-fi, where you could kind of see this existing in the future. I like it. It's interesting. It's got all these displays. It really sells Bat Computer to me. And I also like that we'll find out in a second that it's Alfred who's helping him out with this, which is something we didn't necessarily see in the Nolan films, which is really a key part of him and Batman's relationship. He does help him tactically and help him plan stuff out sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're going that route with an Alfred, which I don't think has been done in any Batman movie, has it?
No, in all the Batman movies, I guess it usually was closer to the comics at the time. Alfred was always the support, and sometimes he sewed him up. But now we're getting more, since we have an older Batman, we have a more seasoned Alfred who's used to helping him out on missions and being sort of tactical support from, seeing stuff that he can't on the ground.
I like that too. And I like Alfred when he's more than just what keeps Batman or Bruce grounded.
Sure.
I like him when he's actually like in the fold. It's fun. Much like the Arkham games.
Why don't I drop you off on the 2nd?
This is a cool shot because, again, as you talked about a second ago, Alfred's remote piloting this, and then Batman's doing stuff. The way they're making this sound, like, this is a slow intro scene to me. Like, this seems like one of the first Batman things we're going to see, probably the first portion of the film. And it leads me to believe that this is going to be more Batman heavy than I think anyone was expecting.
I hope so. Honestly, I don't mind the Zack Snyder Superman that we got in Man of Steel, but honestly, he's not all that interesting. I hope they bring levels to the character here. I hope they bring more layers and make it more interesting, but I'm much more interested in what they have to say about this universe's Batman. Superman has never been that interesting to me. That's just my opinion. I understand why it can be an interesting character.
He's tough.
I've just never seen it done well on screen. Man of Steel got as close as they ever have. You need to talk about the duality between his humanity and the powers that are so beyond anything any human has.
Yeah, I think they're going to go into that a little bit, especially during what seems like it's going to be a hearing later on between what happened in Man of Steel and now. And I think that's a good framing device because it's the only way to make Superman interesting is to kind of like talk about the carnage that he accidentally created. That's such a classic Batman thing right there.
That's awesome, and this is the first time we've seen anything like that in a Batman movie. It seems like finally they're getting to the point where technology and effects and sort of the vision that they want to share on the screen is comparable to what you might see in a comic book or a video game. If you've seen the Arkham games, the fighting style that they showcase here is pretty much exactly how it works in that game. It's very fast, it's very martial arts, it's very gadget-based, it's very frenetic, it's Batman.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And brutal. He's got a lot of strength, and it's not that slow, lumbering Christopher Nolan fights, although I did like some of those fights. They were interesting. It's just not, it doesn't have the acrobatics that normal Batman comic stuff has, where it's both brawn and agility. And as we will see coming up in just a second, it's very true to form.
Oh, yes. I love that. I can feel the physicality of it. I can feel the weight of him nailing that guy right into that box.
It's just so Batman kind of... Batman's always been this mix of like bare knuckle brawler and every Jackie Chan movie you've ever seen, and then add gadgets. Because Jackie Chan famously uses the environment to his advantage all the time. And Batman does the same thing, although less comedically. And this is just one of those, like, we don't see this kind of stuff in most Batman live action. I don't think we've ever seen it.
Nope.
This is new, and it feels right. It finally feels like we have Batman. It's not someone's version of Batman. It's not this more realistic Nolan universe. It's not this campy, over the top, Keaton Batman. It's Batman.
And when they originally announced there were rumors of Batman versus Superman, there were sort of ideas that maybe Christian Bale's Batman was going to come back and it was going to be the Nolan version of Batman.
That wouldn't have worked.
That wouldn't have worked because I could never see that version of Batman ever fighting Superman. This version of Batman, I can kind of say, okay, he's a human, but clearly he's like an exceptional person. He's just amazing at what he does. So I could kind of see with planning and gadgets, he could take on Superman somewhat successfully.
Also, I love that we're getting a warehouse full of goons fight.
Oh, that's classic.
That's classic, yeah. And right here we see that although he looks like it's very like fibrous and malleable, the suit that he's wearing, this knife shot right here tings off of him and creates sparks, letting you know just how durable that suit really is. That's such a good touch.
It is. It's a good thought. I really like that suit, too. We talked about it in our previous reviews of the trailers when we were talking about the suit when they revealed it for the first time. I love how it looks, though, and I like that they're showing its utility here.
Yeah. And again, I love the short cowl. I love it. That's such a Batman finisher.
It is. Batman doesn't want to kill people, although we haven't seen this version of Batman, so we don't know how strict he is on that. Some versions of Batman go a little loosey-goosey with it. Man, that guy, I guess Batman didn't kill him if the floor does it. I guess that doesn't count.
Yeah, Batman's always been this weird sort of, he's got a really odd ethical thing where he won't kill people, but he will paralyze them for their whole life.
Well, he's crazy. What are you going to do?
I'm getting slow in my old age, Alfred.
Ha, because he just destroyed a bunch of goons, but he's slow.
Yeah.
It's not as good as it used to be. Bat humor.
We talked about the shot of the Batcave in the first trailer they did, but it's been a while. I'd just like to point out, I love the aesthetic they're going for. It's definitely, there's cave, because you have the water. It seems like you have some natural rocks there. But he's been Batman. Bottom, right? He's been Batman for 20 years, by the way. And there was some material that they released, promotional stuff that's like travel brochures from Gotham. I don't know if you read them, but it said that for about 20 years, Batman's been active. So, I mean, he's had plenty of time to build this cave up. It's probably the epitome of bat technology at this point, whatever that means.
Well, I think we all know what you mean. But, it looks cool. It looks like it's definitely been modified over the years. And I really like the spiral staircase over on the right side here with the bat. It looks like it's either a retired bat suit or the one he's using, but it looks a little different.
It's the Robin suit.
Is that the Jason Todd Robin suit?
It's the Robin suit.
Is it? It looks like it has a cowl from this shot, but
it definitely is. I can see the pole or whatever.
Right. But still, I like that it's kind of like he has to walk around it on his way down to kind of remind himself.
Yeah,
that's such a Batman, I hate myself psychological thing that he would totally do.
Even you got too old to die young, not for lack of...
There we go. That's some real Alfred we got there.
Jeremy Irons looks amazing for his age.
67 years old. 67, and Ben Affleck is 43. Because we remarked earlier, and then before this recording, you remarked that, wow, they look really close in age. Jeremy Irons he's got that jaw or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the hair.
Maybe.
I don't know. He's looking real good.
Alfred's been dipping into the Lazarus pits behind Bruce's back. Don't worry about it.
Trying.
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
I like that we're going to have this discussion because that's a very Batman contingency thing, and I know we talked on it before, but I really hope, because most of the people's issues with Man of Steel was that Superman was bad at being super.
Yeah.
And I think having that discussion kind of wipes that slate a little clean.
A little bit.
I really like getting into the mind of Batman in regards to metahumans, because famously in the comics and in the cartoons, he has contingencies for like every hero. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of him exploring that with Superman. Like, I'm the only one that can do it, so I have to.
See, I think that's what's interesting about Batman is that even though in the DC universe there's a pantheon of various superheroes, they all sort of have origins that separate them from humanity as a whole. Even people like Hal Jordan, who is a Green Lantern and a human, he still has extra powers on top of, being a human.
Like pretty fearlessness and courage.
Yeah, and I mean, Green Arrow, sure, he's great, but he's not like Batman. Batman is one of the only members of the Justice League who is purely human and just a crazy motherfucker, but he always, I think, has humanity's best interests at heart. He's crazy, he's obsessive, and maybe doesn't look for the best in people most of the time. But when you need someone who understands what it's like to be a vulnerable human being, Batman's the guy, because being crazy and vulnerable is basically his superpower.
Yeah, and even in this shot, he's technically holding and consoling this young child, but look at him. He's clearly obsessed with what's going on, and already the gears are turning about what's happening. Like, Ben Affleck is acting the fuck out of this shot, and it's just a short, quick thing.
I know. I'd like to think, too, I mean, maybe I'm reading too far into this. Obviously, we're fucking reviewing a trailer. Of course, I'm reading too far into it. But I'd like to think that because this is a Batman who's been Batman for 20 years, he probably thinks he has a handle on everything. He's already fought the Joker. There's been some prequel comics. He's already fought Firefly. He's already fought Killer Croc. He's fought Harley. He's fought, most of his pantheon of villains. So he probably thinks he has a pretty solid handle on anything. He probably has a contingency for most things. And this day, he finds out Superman exists, and he probably has no idea how to even begin to broach this at all.
Yeah.
For the first time since his parents died, he probably feels incredibly vulnerable, honestly. And I think that's
excellent.
interesting.
You can see fear and anger, confusion, and also rage right there. It's just a good shot. So I'm really glad that they're going with this. At first, I thought Batman v Superman was a lame idea, but the angle they're taking makes me have some hope in it.
If we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
That's a good conversation that he's having with Alfred as well, where you get a little bit more deep into his thought process. Because he is the most powerful being on the planet, and probably, and according to the comics, he's one of like the top 5 in the universe. So it's tough to kind of be Batman and see what happens, even though he's on our side in that moment. Like, what if he isn't ever?
And he's not even wrong. There's plenty of alternate universe stories in the DC comics where Superman does go bad, and Batman usually has to try and take him out. So,
right, like the entire Injustice Gods Among Us video game is that. Yeah,
there's a comic series based on that now too that has the same exact plot line, and he's just trying to take out Superman because Superman's entire power set could rule the world in like a week. It wouldn't take that long.
The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world.
I like the Batmobile.
Oh, so do I. I think this is a great compromise between being Bat and being mobile, if that makes sense. It's the right.
It's definitely not a tank like Nolan's was. Yeah. But it's certainly not like, it doesn't have these big bat fins on it.
Yeah.
It's good. It looks functional, but it also has that sleek Batman sort of thing that you, like the aesthetic that you kind of want out of it.
It makes me wonder if they're going to explain at all where the gadgets come from in the Batmobile in this universe. I'm wondering if there's going to be a Lucius Fox, basically.
There's Lucius in some of them, right? In some of the
comics?
Yeah,
now Lucius is definitely in the comics currently. He's like a mainstay now, but
right.
I don't know if they'll bring a different person in now. I thought Morgan Freeman was honestly pretty much the perfect Lucius Fox, but I'm wondering who could come in and be the gadget person.
Well, it's 20 years later. You don't really have to explore that much. You can just kind of be like, he has him.
I guess. I mean, I'd like some backstory. Maybe we'll get more when they do the standalone Batman movie later, whatever it's going to be called.
Right.
I'm really excited for that, but whatever. Can you tell we're more Batman fanboys than Superman fanboys?
Well, the thing is, like, as we move forward, it really seems like it's going to be much more Batman-centric than it is Superman.
Well, see,
which makes me think I will like this movie more than I would have if it was, like, kind of 50-50.
It's interesting because the first trailer I felt focused a little bit more on Superman because it definitely started with Clark Kent and him talking about looking for Batman and stuff. So I think that's kind of what they're doing. I think the first trailer was supposed to be mostly Superman. Second trailer was kind of a clusterfuck. I don't know even what they were trying to do there.
They're just showing us cool stuff. Whoever edited that probably shouldn't get another job. But
yeah, and then this one I think they're focusing on Batman. Although I really couldn't tell you, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying like the way the scenes are being shown, it seems very, I don't know. Like it'll be from the viewpoint of Batman with kind of tertiary scenes with Superman because we've already got the Clark Kent story.
Oh, you're right. I agree. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm hoping for at most like a 65-35 split.
Sure.
Batman heavy on that. That'd be nice.
God.
Speaking of Superman, we also get this shot of his new suit. It's very similar to the one in Man of Steel, but they actually brightened it up a bit. They brought it definitely more blue, brighter blue, and I think part of the reason is they wanted more of a contrast with Batman because he's going to
almost assuredly.
Yeah, he's going to be bright. Batman's the dark sepia blacks and whites. You get it.
Yeah. I really like the cape though.
Yeah.
It looks better for some reason. I don't know. Did they use a real cape for Superman? I know they don't use a real cape really for Batman that much.
It depends on the scene. If they're just standing around, they use a real cape. But if they're doing like an action scene, they use a CG one so they can sort of in post say, this is how I want the cape to fly so it looks more dramatic or whatever. But
he definitely looks more like Superman in this one than he did in Man of Steel at this point. I don't know. He seems... either the actor got better or it's just more well directed. It seems like he carries himself differently, you know?
Yeah, I think that'll be better. Honestly, I'm not hating on Superman as much as we're being Batman fanboys here. I'd like to see them really make Superman a more interesting character for the modern age. You know what I mean?
I think the most interesting stuff we're gonna get out of Superman is after the first Justice League movie, not the Formation, which is this one. But the first actual Justice League movie, the next movie after that will probably be the Death of Superman storyline. Yeah,
that'll be good.
And I think that's going to be a really, really good Superman story. But I want like a Green Lantern Flash movie, or something like that. I think that'd be cool. I don't want a Wonder Woman standalone.
They're doing it.
Wonder Woman and I know, but Wonder Woman Aquaman makes more sense, sort of thing. I don't know, stuff like that.
I saw some footage they previewed some footage in a special recently where they showed stuff from the Wonder Woman movie. I actually think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty surprised too, and that's not to hate on Wonder Woman. I think she can be an interesting character.
She's just not that interesting because usually it's Athenian politics.
Well, here's what they're doing in the new movie though. It starts out in like the 1920s. Because she doesn't age like a normal person, and she comes. It's either England or the United States. I don't remember, but it's her origin story, and she's not super powered yet. She's stronger than a normal person, obviously, but she's not like super strong. And it's kind of her journey to becoming Wonder Woman, and I think that's more interesting than just I'm Wonder Woman. Let me come and fight things. You know,
that might be interesting. I feel like it's going to be very similar to Captain America, though.
I thought that too. Honestly, I'm like, oh, they're doing kind of a period piece where the origin takes place in decades ago, but
the first Captain America was not that great. But if we get a Winter Soldier out of her sequel to it, it makes up for it.
Sure, I'll give it a shot. I'm gonna go see it either way. So I don't know, but we'll see.
And we get another shot of her in a little bit here, which is cool. But first,
versus man.
He hit him with his car. It's a hit and run.
I like that. If you notice, Superman kicked the car. He basically tripped the car and made it crash, which is awesome. What a great way to introduce the power of Superman versus Batman, even at his most technologically proficient. The Batmobile, which is basically, if you ask anyone what they know about Batman, people who aren't comic book fans or even fans of Batman in general, they'll go, dresses like a Batmobile. Batmobile is like the number one thing people know about Batman. And he destroys it immediately. And that's good writing, I think. I think that's a good, iconic moment.
I know, this trailer is giving me much more hope than the previous ones.
Day versus night.
You're psychotic.
I've seen an extended shot of this, and I don't know what it was for. It was like a teaser where it's just these two guys after he rips the thing off, and it's basically just like, consider this as your warning. And then he delivers that, do you bleed? Superman runs away, and then he goes, 'cause you will, sort of thing. So it's not as lame as I thought it would be when the first time we heard that pretty crappy line.
Yeah,
but it's still a Batman line. But it makes it a better scene. We've seen this before. It's still pretty good. And again, it's got a lot of iconic moments. Like, this is Superman just not even trying, destroyed one of the most iconic things about Batman in a second.
I also like that, if you notice, the Gotham City gas, which means that they're in Gotham City, which means this isn't Batman going to Metropolis, hunting down Superman. Superman came to Batman's home turf. And if you know anything about Batman, he's very territorial about Gotham. And he stopped him, which leads me to believe Superman doesn't like Batman very much.
Yeah, Batman, famously territorial. He pees on all the sidewalks.
That is a 3-syllable word for any thought too big for little minds.
We get this shot of the Superman killer bat suit. I don't know what we're gonna call it. I'm sure it's called something in the toys, but it doesn't really matter. But I think it actually looks good. The lighting is making it not look as CG as it actually is.
I don't know. I have
helps.
a thing about entire CG costumes. Capes is one thing. I can kind of understand that because they want to make sure it's not in the shots that they need to get right. Entire CG suits, it works for Iron Man, but I think Iron Man's suit looks a little better than this suit looks, which is interesting.
Well, they're keeping it in the dark, and when it's in motion, it's less noticeable than when we freeze frame it.
As long as they frame the shots well and keep it in the dark and keep it moving, I think it'll be fine. But if we see long shots, I hope they actually built something for him to be in, so we can see a physical version of it. So in the
it might be both, kind of like Jurassic World did with the Raptors.
Probably.
Honestly.
I think the helmet will probably be real. There'll be close-up shots with him in it.
I don't know why you wouldn't make this real. It seems practical to wear.
Obviously, it looks like it, as far as a movie budget goes, as far as a big studio budget movie, that'd be incredibly simple to make. So I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, it just looks like they touched it up in post because it's a Zack Snyder film. So I like that right there where Superman punches him through a building.
Yeah.
That's very DC fight.
It is. That's the one thing that we never get in the Marvel movies, at least not so far. I like the Marvel movies, don't get me wrong. They're very fun. But the fights, I don't know. There's something about them that's just a little tedious.
It's because they're chaotic and they're trying to get like 12 people in all the different shots. The best shot of Avengers 2 was when they mixed all of them into that one where they're guarding that thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, they do a lot of quick cuts, and they don't really stay with a moment long enough for you to really appreciate what's going on. And I assume that's so that they can hide the CG a little bit better. But this is just DC tends to smash things through walls constantly.
Yeah, DC is good for like those giant city leveling fights between two imposing individuals. Marvel, at least in the movies, does lots of, okay, here's a horde of 100 minions, fight them.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a lot of minion fighting or fights on rooftops.
Sure.
Ooh, Superman getting busy. But it's with Amy Adams. Womp womp.
I'm wondering how they're going to do the whole Lois and Clark thing in this movie, because she already knows his secret identity. We've established that, which I'm glad they did, because I kind of get annoyed by the whole she doesn't realize.
How would she not know?
Yeah. And I'm glad they got rid of that right off the bat, but I don't know, where is there for them to grow now? I know in the comics that they obviously have had a relationship for a very long time, and they got married at one point, and they even, I think, had a kid. But I don't know. I don't know where they can take this, where it's not just going to be tedious. Here's Superman and her because they're a thing in the comics.
What I'm thinking is that we're going to get kind of just, it's an established relationship, and it seems like this is going to be the, haha, they're good together sort of thing, and they cohabitate. Because you can see his shampoo in the top right here, but you can also see her nail polish remover right there. This is fantastic. But she's probably just going to be the damsel in distress all the time.
Sure.
You know?
She'll probably do so. I assume at least one part of the plot will be moved forward by her reporting, because they also still have to establish, see, she's a good reporter. She helps.
I hope so. I like Lois more when she's kind of... she's not just Clark's girlfriend. She's Lois Lane.
Yeah.
As well. Like, there's a big difference there. But, I don't know. I don't really like Amy Adams that much, but she's doing fine. It's whatever, you know? We see here our first shot of a Batarang.
Is that a guy hanging upside down, by the way?
Yeah.
Classic.
The guy hanging upside down. Yeah, it's great. But it was really quick. But then right after that, Batman shoots a thing at him. I don't know what it is. It's probably like some sort of incapacitating.
I know what it is.
What is it?
If you look at I go through toy aisles and stores a lot because I'm a functioning adult. And you can see the gun that Batman has. It's a kryptonite gun.
Oh, is this a kryptonite bullet?
Presumably there's some kryptonite in that. I'm assuming what's going to happen. This is just a guess, but they only show a split second of it. He fires it at Superman. He's going to catch it, and Superman's going to be like, haha, and Batman's going to be like, he'll have some quip, and it'll open up, and the kryptonite will be in there, and he'll be exposed to it. Because Batman anticipated he would catch it or something.
Yeah, probably something like that.
It's just a guess, but yeah.
It's cool, though. This is a cool shot. And usually Batman doesn't use... He uses gadget guns, but it's interesting to see him use a gun at all. I don't know what this explosion is.
In the trailers, they showed Diana banging her bracelets
together. Is it her blocking
together.
Doomsday's thing?
It might be. They showed her putting her wrist bracelets together. Right. I'm sure they have a name, but you know, the bulletproof bracelets, basically. She smashes them together and they explode in the trailer in the first one. I don't know if that's actually what it's going to be in the movie, or if she's blocking something, or if it's Doomsday being created, something like that.
Well, actually, it might be Doomsday, because if you look, there's like a beam on the top part of that, and it looks like it. Although that kind of looks like Darkseid's beam.
I don't know.
I hope it's not Darkseid 2. But see, it's kind of wiggly like that.
If they wasted two big DC villains in their first team-up movie, I'd be so pissed off. That wouldn't even make sense.
Yeah, that'd be a little too much. A little too much.
I've known a few women like you.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
Because she's Wonder Woman, Bruce.
I actually like the idea that he's going to kind of flirt with Wonder Woman. I don't know their relationship necessarily in the comics, but I know that in the Justice League show that I think his name's Bruce Timm did, he also did the Batman animated series. Batman and Diana sort of had a thing, so it'd be interesting.
Really? Batman has a thing with like everyone.
That's true.
But Diana and Clark have a thing at some point, right? As long if in any storyline where Lois isn't a thing.
Yeah, later, I think it's actually current in the comics, or at least it was very recent. It was in the past like 3 or 4 years. Superman and Wonder Woman were a thing. And I think there was an infamous scene that comic book fans hated where they like had super sex and destroyed a mountain or something, and people just rolled their eyes and were like, that's stupid. But I don't know.
Destroy a mountain, sexy. I kind of like Wonder Woman now. It's growing on me. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know this actress. I heard she was a model before this, though, which doesn't bode well for the acting, but I guess I don't know. I'm not going to judge it before I see it.
She did all right in that last shot.
It's just, when I pictured Wonder Woman, I didn't picture, like, she's like a model. She's a super sexy heroine. It's like, she's an Amazon. She should be, like, built. I always assumed she'd be kind of like a
I'm worried
tall.
I'm worried they're gonna feminize her too much, because while she is a woman, and that's the point, she is definitely more of an athletic woman than the average.
Yeah,
and certainly not a model. I mean, she's not like distractingly good looking or anything, but she's certainly, I don't know, she just doesn't have that Wonder Woman-ness.
No, I've always pictured Wonder Woman as, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's an Amazon, she's supposed to be good looking or whatever, but like tall as an average man usually, and built like you can tell she's strong, not as strong as she is, because obviously, you know, no one looks like they can lift a bus or whatever, but I assume she'd look muscular, not like she's about to, you know, go to a Victoria's Secret fashion show. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm losing the name suddenly, but the actress that plays Captain Phasma and that was also in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
If she was brunette, like you could dye her hair, it might work out a little bit better.
Sure,
but I don't know. Either way, I'm starting to warm up to the idea of Wonder Woman. She's just generally pretty lame, so I hope that, I hope it's not that bad. This is more of that henchman fight thing. Yeah. I still like it. I don't know what he's shooting at them. Maybe it
looks like just smoke pellets, maybe. Looks like the smoke's starting to come out of it.
Well, it looks... Or he's disabling their guns.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. Either way, it's just a cool shot. I just like Batman gadget stuff, and then he has another one here. So I'm glad that they're going to integrate gadgets into his fights more than just his fists.
You know the oldest lie in America?
So here's part of the dream sequence. We assume it's a dream sequence.
Excuse me, sir. It is a nightmare sequence spelled Knight.
Yeah, okay. Marketing department really dropped the ball on that one. But I still like the bat suit for this, whatever sequence this is. But there's an Omega symbol right there. And that doesn't make me think that it's a Superman nightmare. It makes me think that it's a Darkseid nightmare, especially because of like these pillars of fire and the weird like structures in the sky and the way that everything's desolate. This looks a lot like how Darkseid would do things.
I don't know. If
he's really going to introduce Darkseid,
I'm hoping
already.
I'm hoping that it's just like a nod, and maybe this is sort of he's seeing. Maybe it is sort of a prophetic dream. I think Batman having a prophetic dream is kind of stupid because that's nothing like how the character is.
I guess it depends on how they do it.
I guess.
Like if he's shown by, I don't know, some sort of something. I have no idea how you would do that. I have no idea what the device would be to get Batman into a prophetic dream like that. But, man.
Maybe it's just... I'd assume this is sort of, for one, it's going to focus on him being paranoid about what Superman might do. But if it is prophetic, right. I assume it'll also set up sort of why they formed the Justice League and him getting ready for whatever this is. And it turns out it'll be Darkseid in Justice League or Justice League 2 or whenever they decide to do that.
I mean, Aquaman's going to be in this film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so is Wonder Woman. And both of them have sort of this mystical thing going on. This could be an epilogue to the film.
I don't think so though, because we definitely saw more scenes of it.
They usually don't show that much of it, but or just kind of at the end, and he's kind of talking to some. I think Aquaman or Wonder Woman are the only real way you can get if it's prophetic, because that really looks like it's going to have Darkseid involved, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know.
Part of me wants to be excited, but they already if they hadn't showed Doomsday, maybe I would be. But Doomsday is a badass, and he ends up killing Superman at some point. But Darkseid would be a real reason to create the Justice League. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But having both of them is just
it'd be way too much.
And right here we see these flying dudes in the background. Those are very Darkseid henchmen sort of things. So, and obviously these officers or whatever you want to call them, these soldier dudes have the Superman patch. So it's got to be a weird mix of the two, right?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to throw hints out and they're not going to address it at all. But if they don't address it at all, it's going to seem weird. But if they address it, then it's like, oh my God, there's already like 7 characters in this movie.
I'm going to be interested to see how they balance all of this without fucking it up.
Or maybe they'll just fuck it up. We'll see.
That could be it too. I really like the shot of Superman though. I like him being pissed off and have the laser eyes kind of burning, getting ready to go.
That power can be innocent.
Batman just blocked a punch from Superman.
That's awesome. That's my favorite shot of the trailer. That's the shot that makes me go, oh yeah. I wish there was a shot right after that just showing Batman's face and just a little smirk. Just a little bit of a, yeah, I know.
The smirk we got from the very first trailer you're talking about?
Yeah, just like that would have been excellent. And I hope it's in the movie. I don't know if it will be, but that'd be awesome. I'm assuming at this point Superman is depowered because there's no amount of electronics and stuff he could put into a suit that would make him actually be able to block a full-on Superman punch.
This might be after that thing, that pellet kind of went off in his hand. And then he didn't know what it was because no one's ever used kryptonite on him, right?
Not that I'm aware of. And we saw in earlier trailers, Lex Luthor has kryptonite. So what I'm assuming is going to happen is...
He's been equipped?
I think Lex is going to be pulling the strings on both of them, unbeknownst to them, until the end of the movie.
Sure.
So Lex is going to somehow get kryptonite into Batman's hands, and then Batman's going to, use it. And he's going to somehow be convincing Superman that you need to take on Batman, he's a bad guy, blah, blah, blah,
Right, trying to get Batman to kill Superman, I assume.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Do you think, is a good time as any, do you think Lex will lose his hair?
I don't know. Honestly,
what I'm hoping is they go like cancer from the kryptonite that he keeps around.
Maybe that'd be interesting. At the very least, I hope they don't just do the kryptonite made his hair fall out. That's kind of silly.
No, but I want his life to be in danger or something. And maybe that's why he wears the suit.
Sure, I could see that. I don't know. If they're gonna do something stupid with the hair loss, just let him have hair. I don't mind him having hair and it being a different version of Lex Luthor. That's fine.
Sure, that's fine too. I agree. If you're gonna go iconic, and they're using a lot of classic stuff, especially with the Batman, Superman stuff, having him lose his hair over the obsession with Superman and stuff like that, and having it kind of backfire on him a little bit would be interesting, and maybe fuel him even more. I don't know. We'll see.
So that's the last trailer for Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. And that comes out next month. We're very excited to see it, and obviously we're going to do a review of it. But man, I hope it's good. I'm so on the fence still. This trailer makes me feel a little better. The first trailer made me feel pretty good. Second trailer really concerned me. So it'll be interesting to see which direction this goes. Either DC's going to hit it out of the park, and they're going to honestly take on Marvel for the title of best superhero franchise, or they're going to tank it so hard. And
see, the thing is, like DC has a better roster of deep characters.
Yeah.
Like their top two, Superman and Batman, are obviously fan favorites. But Marvel has kind of the luxury of having gone first, so they were excused for, like, the first Iron Man was pretty good, but if we remember, Edward Norton Hulk is in canon.
Yeah.
The first Captain America, the second Iron Man, all of those were not very good, but they were the only ones doing it. So there wasn't like, oh, this wasn't as good as Avengers 2. Now, these guys are getting put up against the current Avengers movies, which the last three have been great.
Yeah, even though people have cooled on superhero movies a little bit. Avengers 2 people had mixed feelings about. I still like Avengers 2. Does it have problems? Yeah, but it's still a fun movie. This movie doesn't even seem like it's trying to necessarily be an outright fun movie. It's trying to be a serious, exciting action superhero movie. So if the movie's
I'm good with that.
If the movie's shit, though, it doesn't even have humor to fall back on. Then it's just a shitty movie. And they'll ruin Batman and Superman, and we won't get another one for like 10 or 15 years. And that's gonna suck. If they fuck this up, they're fucked. Then Warner Brothers has no legs to stand on. Then they better hope that Suicide Squad is absolutely outstanding. Honestly,
Suicide Squad looked good.
I'm more confident in Suicide Squad being good than I am in Batman vs. Superman being good. Because I feel
Isn't that weird? Because we were worried about Leto, but the last trailer they put out had a lot of him, and he seemed to do well.
Oh yeah, he seemed like he nailed it, but I think when it comes to studio meddling, these are the kind of movies that it's very concerning, and studios are more likely to get, like, you need to do this, you need to micromanage this. This is what our statistics say audiences want, so you need to do this in the movie. I think they're more likely to be meddling in Batman vs. Superman than they are in Suicide Squad. So
you're probably right.
So if either movie's going to get fucked over by the studio saying it needs to check off these boxes, it's going to be Batman vs. Superman, and Suicide Squad might have more free reign and creative control, and that'll be the better movie. So I don't know.
I don't know if I want to cheer for amazing success from Batman v Superman or amazing failure. Because if it fails really hard, but they already have these other movies slated and already producing, they're still going to make them, right?
I'd assume
most
so.
likely. Maybe it means they change their management style, you know what I'm saying? Like, just trust a person that knows what they're doing to do it. Or if it's an amazing success and it's actually pretty fantastic. Like, if it's the Mad Max Fury Road of superhero movies, like, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I guess we won't have to worry about it much longer. We only have about a month left, and then we'll get to see it. Very exciting stuff. So, next thing we're probably going to be reviewing is actually Deadpool. I've heard very good things. The pre-screening reviews have all been overwhelmingly positive, so I'm very, very excited to talk about that.
Our review for that will be up the Tuesday after it comes out, so the 16th.
So, other than that, you can always follow us on Twitter, @TheRealUnpop.
You can always subscribe and get more of our reviews whenever they come out.
You can always donate to our Patreon campaign and help support the show. Other than that, until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been Unpopular Culture, watching the final trailer for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.